Hey, when closers aren't doing what you're telling them, then we're going to have to communicate something different. We're also going to have some habit changes at the very least. So in this video, we actually go through that with somebody who's having this exact issue with a closer who's not following their advice, even though the numbers aren't actually reflecting what they should. So you might want to watch this, take notes, enjoy. It's a live session, so enjoy it through. Maybe speed it up if you need to, but get to the bits that you need. Enjoy. I'll leave my calendar there if anyone wants to work more one-on-one. What's your question? What would like make the biggest difference from a selling perspective?
Right now, it's kind of, how to say, it's kind of two things. We're onboarding a lot of new APs as well on the team.
Yeah.
And we are trying to train them to, of course, follow the principles that we learn in the course, but as well,
What are
um,
APs being what? Account executives or salespeople or what are they?
APs for the most part, like appointment setters, just like
Oh,
doing
appointment
outbound
centers.
calls for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go for it.
Um, and what I have found difficult at sometimes, a lot of people, we have one specific at least that has some sales experience from like telecom marketing and so on, and been in door-to-door sales and so on. So he's been trained in a certain way to do calls, and
Yeah,
I can at times find it hard to change his perspective or help him be more open to the way of thinking differently in sales in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's a bit of how do you get him to see something different? So he's more like attached to his habits and his way of doing things, correct?
Exactly.
So how do we solve that, right? What comes to your mind? I've got something in my mind that will help them gets people to solve that. But what have you tried, or what do you think you can do to help him?
I mean, we have had him on board for quite some time now, and he's been delivering a lot of demos and so on, and like we're getting a lot of sales calls with him, or he's bringing in some sales calls. But the issue is, of course, the can be the qualification about it. It can be the pre-framing that we would love to have and start, but then because of his old habits, he's not as used to the way we usually want it to be or want it to be done.
Yeah.
So my initial idea was, of course, been to invite him into the program, like actually see the course with us, and we can reflect on it and talk back and forth about it. But
What's the course? So I understand.
what do you mean?
What's the course? Like Jeremy's course or what course?
For
Yeah.
the most part, yeah, the basic seventh level act like that the video course. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 Well, have you allowed him to go and look through it yet or not yet?
yeah.
Be
So I've done both. We have watched it together, and we'll also, or not all of it together, but we've done some trainings with specific parts that I remember that was kind of an eye opener for me. And
yeah.
but then when I've done it other way around, I haven't seen the same, how to say, eye opener for him. Like it hasn't drastically changed his perspective. And I feel like we usually come back to when he talks about what he does, he usually come back to, well, the way I'm trained to do it, or the way I have been taught to do sales. This what works. And I know it's hard to just argue. It's like, oh, but that's not how it is, or that's wrong. So I found it hard at some time. Like I just really don't know how to approach the situation in
Yeah.
a good
I
way
think
without,
I'll
yeah,
make my suggestion on that. I think it's coming down to it's not just him, it's just down to the decision that you make with basically how you want to run it. It's probably because you haven't set up certain like rules or boundaries in the way that you want for him, so he's able to go and do it his way. That's one thing, right? The second thing is if you want someone to change, I think that you ultimately have to bring back the frame of what do they want, right? Their
absolutely,
outcome.
yeah.
So I would bring that into frame. Like, what do you like? What are you wanting to make again? What are you wanting to achieve in this role? And then from there, I would go to, okay, can I explain why? I know you've got your way of doing it. Do you want to understand why we're talking about doing it this way? It's not just because this is a different way of doing it. And if you can show him the numbers, I don't know if you've got the numbers and the data as well to back up your point, right? Like
Um,
your appointment sets of this conversion rate this other person's at this conversion rate type. If you can do that,
Yeah.
then it should like click in his brain. And then if he doesn't change, then ultimately you've got to ask him a deeper question. It's like, I'm noticing that you're just sticking to what you're doing. Like, what's really behind that? I mean, let's talk openly about it. Ultimately,
Yeah.
what you'll realize is, I wrote about this a bit recently. If it goes deeper than that, then it's going to be something in their attitude. At this point, you've got a choice as like the leader, as in, do you just decide I want to put in the effort to actually help them correct their attitude? Or do I want to just be like, make the easy decision and just be like, okay, cool. I don't want to deal with this. I just go hire another appointment setter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can show you
Um,
if you want to know how to fix attitude as well, if that helps you. But does that help? I'll pause there for a second because we covered quite a bit there. Any questions on that at all?
no, I was basically just about to ask the attitude point, because I of course get
Yeah.
the, and yeah, we've worked a lot with trying to figure out what does he really want to get out of the role. That's been something
Yeah.
we bring up a lot. Usually when we have weekly reviews and monthly reviews and so on, we reflect on, okay, what have you achieved and what have you achieved compared to what you want to achieve in the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's been going like progressively better, but I still am seeing the same kind of framework and the same kind of process of a lot of things, which then lead to, for him, I would say, and like, because the thing is, it's not a problem right now, but I'm scared it's going to become a problem,
Yeah.
because he's delivering results, we're getting a lot of demos, and we have a pretty okay show up rate and so on. But the issue is when he comes to a point where he want to achieve more, um, he like he can't stick to the old habits, because then it's just going to end up the same place he is. But it's,
What's
I
the
think,
problem with the
yeah,
old habits? Is it affecting any of the data that you're seeing in any way, like conversions? Because you
yeah,
said he's,
it's
yeah,
pretty much because because I'm the head of sales in the company right
yeah,
now, and I at point, or like at times, do cold outreach as well, because
yeah,
I would like to be fresh on it, and it can be fun.
yeah.
So
That's cool. You enjoy it? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so but usually when I book my demos through my own calls and my own way of doing it, and the way I've been taught through NEPQ and so on,
yeah,
it's I see usually a way higher conversion rate in general. The prospects of more qualified, they're more emotionally invested in the actual call, and
yeah,
they because uh, we work with a lot to kind of give them a reason to go on the call, and
yeah,
like for them to create their own reason, not for us to create a reason why they should, but why like they should act. You know what I mean? And I can
yeah,
usually see the other way around when I have demos through my AP, like the guy I'm talking about, that a lot of them haven't, like they don't have the same connection at all with the actual call. And
yeah,
so we have some fewer show up rate, and then at times the way of closing, like how many meetings we need for them to close, it's usually like more. And I think we can fix a lot of that issue with just by changing a lot of the way he just qualifies, and in general, like connects emotion to a lot of things and so on.
Hey, if you're running a sales team and you want them at a high level of consistency, then you probably have some questions, a new perspective that might be helpful. If it is, come along to the workshop on Wednesdays that are on. You'll see the link below. Yes, yeah, yeah. I think I know. I've got a few thoughts. When it comes through different sales methodologies, I've trained people who've done so many different sales methodologies now, right? The easiest lens to be able to get out of like my habits or your method, my method's better than yours, is to see the conversation to the lens of psychology and the psychology outcomes of the conversation. That's why, for example, a big thing I do is actually build psychology maps so that you can work out your own way of doing it if you want to from that, right? From there, what the person's probably doing is not meeting those psychology outcomes, right? That's one thing. That's one
Well,
solution.
what do you mean with that exactly? If you can like
I'll
elaborate.
try and show you an example, right? So this is not an appointment setting one, right? In
Yeah,
fact,
that's
maybe see if I can find one, right? But it's very, what's the word? Industry and offer specific, right? So as an example, this is what I mean by an outcome map, right? So
Here we go.
um,
Yeah.
I go like boom down. This would be for one. This is actually for an appointment setter with a client I work with. You go down here, they go up to here, doubt, and then we just start to book them in, right?
Yeah.
But where each box means something, very, and we keep it very simple. And from there, like you could do a different sequence to create doubt. Somebody might do it slightly differently, although we built a very specific one together. We were just working on that a bit today, actually, as well, right? That's a great lens to see it through. That way, your setter understands what are they actually doing and why they're doing it,
Yeah.
right? And then the how can be different a little bit, but I would still work on the how with them because most of the time they're nowhere near as good as you as doing it, but you work on it with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Okay.
the other thing I've noticed is like that setup was the same a little bit, and they're kind of caught in their own way of doing things, right? They just love their way of doing things, right? But the reality is, if they whatever outcome they want to go achieve, they've got to have flexibility to go achieve it. So
Yeah.
that's what you want to get them back to an understanding. But I think if you explain that in, what you said earlier, that people aren't they're not entering into the conversation with me in the right way. And the whole point of an appointment setter is a bit like, the relay race in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Is it they got to put the baton in your hand in the right way so that you can take it to the finish line, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like an analogy there that could help them.
Yeah. Because we end up a lot what we have or what I've experienced, which is something I really don't want to happen, is that
Yeah.
I can present like usually he can after say we were supposed to jump on a call and he was supposed to do an introduction or someone, and then the prospect just doesn't show up, and then he can get frustrated and upset, which of course makes sense because he spent a lot of time trying to get the prospect a meeting. But then
Yeah.
I try to introduce him like, okay, but that I get the frustration and it can feel a lot of ways disrespectful and so on. But you think the issue here can be the way we have introduced the meeting in general, and then when I ask that question, I usually kind of he I don't know if it might just be framed in a uh, like an attacking way, but I try to frame it as much as I can to make him reflect.
It's challenging his way of doing things, which needs to
Yeah,
happen because it's not producing him the results that he wants either, right?
exactly. And then, but
Yeah.
usually, I end up getting the when I ask, so okay, but what do you think the person didn't show up, or what can be the reason? And then of course, yeah, it might be the follow up in between the meetings that can be a part of it. But then I ask, do you think it could have anything to do with the way you were presenting the meeting to them, or how they're presented the meeting in general? And
Yeah.
then usually instead of like him just kind of talking about it, he gets really defensive and was like, no, I don't think it can be because I do just like
Do
how
you
I'm used to.
do you record calls?
Yeah, we record everything pretty
That's
much.
what I would do, just to cut through. Like that's what I would cut through with him, right? There's one thing that's what I noticed that like all of our egos get defensive, right? And in sales, I mean, human beings in general, we all have egos, right? Especially in sales, right? So what I would do if you're doing training with him is just to cut through the noise and talking with him because it seems like talking with him hasn't made the change. Is just
No.
cut straight to core reviews is what I would do. Either that, I would either focus on psychology mapping, which is what I definitely would do, get him 100% on all of that. Then I would go to core reviews, and then I would work around his attitude as well, if needs be.
Okay.
Um, Only because of time. Do you want me to talk to you a bit about attitude?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lovely guy, and he's become a close friend to say that way as well. But
That can be an issue as well,
I,
potentially.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. So we're working on it as well, with a lot of the new APs as well. But what we're trying to I know he's a guy with a lot of confidence and can at some point have a lot of ego, and he knows it. He's really self-aware about it, which is good. But then
Yeah.
I have a hard time really trying to help him with the attitude in general. So yeah, I'll elaborate with that. That'd be great.
Yeah. So attitude is, if you look at like the nerdy scientific definition, it's like it's like beliefs and behaviors towards something.
Yeah.
right? And so he'll have his own attitude towards changing what he's doing. There's tactics, what he says in this appointment setting call. So one way to shift that is to get him to write down what are his thoughts towards changing what he does, and then get him to empty out all of his ideas, and then look at them and realize, everything he's written down, does that actually help him go achieve what he wants? Then you'll realize no, right? And then typically what you'll realize is one of the easiest shifts you can make is to start to change those beliefs around. What's the opposite of those? And then repeat them. Like that's like a really, what's the word? Like a stiff-armed way to do it.
Yeah.
The more effective, gentler, and nicer way to do it, or kinder way to do it, would be to do the inner transformation work with those beliefs. But that's kind of out of the scope of what we would cover on a call like this. But you might be like, for example, one of his beliefs might be, I don't want to change what I've done because I've spent so much time learning it. Right? Whereas when he looks at that, you realize, does that actually help you go achieve what you want to? You realize no. What's a better way of framing that? What's the opposite of that? It might be, doesn't matter what I've done, I'm always willing to be flexible to go achieve what I want. And then if he's repeating those, if he's reading those beliefs back, he's repeating them so they get wired in his brain, then he can operate from that space. He's got a better attitude and he can then go achieve a better result. So that's an exercise. What's my attitude towards this? What are my beliefs and thoughts towards blank? This thing that's not getting me what I want? Write everything out. What is the opposite to that? Okay, can I just repeat that and read that back so it gets wired into my subconscious?
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
That could be towards anything. As human beings, you might have an argument with your partner and be like, what am I thinking about my partner now? Right? It's like, oh, that doesn't make sense actually. Right? And then you can just be like, oh, what should I be thinking? Right? And then that's such a powerful exercise.
Yeah, 100%. That makes a lot of sense as well. And just in general, getting, as talked about with the calls, just kind of hand them to him or like go through them with him to make him kind of zoom out of the situation we're in. Because I mean, as I said, it's not a problem now, but I'm just scared it's going to be, and it's also going to affect him as a AP in the future. Because then, I mean, you usually, what I've seen with other APs, that they come to a point where they feel they're stagnating, stagnating.
Yeah.
Well, like nothing is really changing. They have the same cash collected for, like they get the same commission every month, and then like, oh, I'm not making any more money, and then they're asked for a raise or whatever, and they try to. I was like, okay, but you can just usually change how you do things, and you would get more money. Your commission would increase. So
you said something interesting there a couple of times, right? Which is not a problem now. Is that actually true?
I mean, both ways, I would say. When I mean, if I can think about it, I mean, it's a sort of reality, right?
Well, it must be a little bit, right? Because if it was producing the result that you want, then it wouldn't be. Then it would. Is it a problem in the future? Or is it really a problem that's happening now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that's developing for sure.
Yeah. That's the other part as well. I'm getting the sense, because he might be somebody. I'm not like somebody who's like a major leader type either, right? I'm getting the sense that he might be somebody that, because he's very confident, his frame might be winning a little bit over your one, a little bit in conversations. So that might be something that you want to explore. One of the easiest ways is just to pattern interrupt that and just change it, but start getting your frame in. Yeah.
Yeah, just the way you said, like with a leader kind of role and what kind of person he is in general. Like he's absolutely a guy that would be great at teaching a team, having them fired up and happy and ready to go. And I love to have a team and work with them, but I'm not the typical like lead role you would see in like shows.
It might be a bit quieter, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
those leaders are quiet though, you know.
Yeah, strategic and trying to, like, of course, you know, but so I mean that can make a lot of sense, because he is a definitely a kind of guy that would do really well as a leader as well. And I think that is something that he want to become as well. And then
Yeah.
maybe he's kind of not really consciously, but subconsciously driving those perspectives out towards me because he want to show that he can be a confident and a guy that can become a leader in the future and that he can provide more and so on. And but it kind of is working against him in a way. because
Yeah.
because then my point that I want to prove to him doesn't come across and the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just to kind of wrap up a little bit, we talked through quite a few different things that you can try and do from here. What stood out to you that you feel that you could apply?
I mean, for sure the psychology mapping as well. I haven't
Yeah.
really thought we go through the different like stages of selling, right? With the 8 different steps, we've done that, but we haven't mapped out what it would kind of work with APs as well. We just done it a lot like how I would do a sale and so on, but then reflecting
Yeah.
even more in the outbound call as well, to make it as easy as you said to give me the stick when I'm finishing the run, to say it that way, because I like the analogy. And also just in general, show, because we've done call reviews, but we haven't done the call reviews in regards his situation, to say it that way. We kind of just like, okay, how can we improve? But we haven't done it in how can we do it so you improve in your role, so you end up where you want it. Like we haven't done it that way. So just like,
Yeah, it's the difference between what they say, what they're saying is their reality versus actuality of what's happening on the call.
yeah,
There can be some differences there. So it really helps just to review the call
absolutely. I
and
think
frame it as a way of helping him, right? Achieve what he wants. That's what matters mostly. because
yeah,
because if he's got an ego, he can start to feel defensive.
yeah, exactly. And then also just perhaps going deeper in like what is actually causing him to, because I haven't been like direct like, okay, but like, okay, we've been stagnating now for 10 minutes, and like what's the reason like we can't get any further along with the conversation, like what's behind this, like I haven't gone this way yet, and I think that might
Yeah.
of course help in a certain way.
You've got to find the crux or the constraint, because that's always like when it comes to lift up of results, there's always, you've got to find that constraint or crux. You could find that through a core review. You probably might not be able to find it in what he's saying if he's able to like cover it up through like charisma and charm, etc. Right? Whereas if you see it in the actual core review, then you can find the thing that needs to be that one major thing that needs tweaking for him to get his
Yeah,
numbers
yeah,
up.
absolutely. Because I can go, because I feel like or I mean, the perspective he has is that sales is not that complicated. Because I go around about like, okay, but what if we go in this way and we do this to do this and this and this and this will achieve this and this? But then it's like, well, it's not that complicated. We just got to do this. But now I'm trying to explain to him like, well, I mean, it's not as complicated. It's just like it's just I'm just explaining the psychology behind the reason we do this and this. But then
Yeah.
I feel like he usually comes out like, oh, but it can be complicated anyway. You're making it harder than it needs to be. But it's not what I'm trying trying to do.
You're looking to simplify it for him. Yeah, he might have a different
Yeah.
frame of reference. Yeah, I mean, I would work with him still on. I like what I've noticed is a map like that really simplifies things, and nearly everybody likes it.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think that
one
would
major
help.
thing. Just so the model becomes simple in his brain
Yeah.
is one thing I would work on. Yeah. Cool.
Because I'm trying. I had another guy that we just onboarded, and he also been in telemarketing as well, but and been doing sales and door to door and so on, and it's pretty decent at that. And then I try to do a bit different way of onboarding him on the team,
Yeah.
and his perspective just changed immediately. It was like, oh my god, I don't know anything, basically.
Yeah.
Not that way, but it's like it was a lot more eye opening thing to him as well, and I'm trying to reflect on that as well to see if it can have any correlation. But
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all gonna stem from something in their attitude in some way. That person's probably got a slightly different attitude and belief and behavior towards this thing. And
absolutely.
that's the other work you can do with them because we always have to do these attitude corrections. So yeah, cool. That should help you out.
Absolutely.
Have a great Christmas,
Thank you so much. You too.
and I will see you soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye bye.